You're not in my shoes. You're not in my shoes. You don't know what it's, you don't know the intricacies, you don't know the ins and the outs. You don't really know. And you're looking from an outside perspective. And if you can't put yourself in my shoes, then you might have some ideas of, well, this is what I would do. And can't you see that? No. All I just want you to do is listen. And maybe it keeps you company. Maybe it assists you in your own, tragic existence, the parts of your life that are tragic. But that's it. Maybe your life isn't tragic. Mine is a tragedy. That's just what it's about. And I don't like it. And I wish it wasn't. And if I didn't wish it, imagine I just embraced the fact that it was a tragedy and I loved it. Oh, this is the best life I've had. And I mean, yeah, sure, and I've learned so much, and definitely I have grown so much, and I've evolved so much, and it's been a great opportunity. Yes, I agree. But do you think I want it to continue this way? No, I don't. Why? Because I love myself, and I respect myself, and I'm saying it's darn outright tragic, and it's enough. And how's it going to change if I'm not willing to ask for that change? To realize, that's what I'm saying. Some people in their lives are in tragic situations and very unhealthy, toxic situations, but they won't admit that they're in the situation, and therefore how are they going to change it? How do you get better? If someone's like an alcoholic and they're denying the fact that they're an alcoholic and it's killing them, and they don't accept that they're an alcoholic, then how are they going to get better? So how's my situation? How am I actually also being there for myself if I'm saying, no, Aaron, certain times I can, certain times I'm alright, certain times I'm at peace, certain times I'm okay, and saying, it's fine, I've got but it's not, it doesn't last long. I just go back to my cold, hot, isolated, day to day, day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out, all the time, not being able to meet, and I just go back to that, like I am now. And this is my reality. This is my burning flesh. No, this is my wound. This is my existence. This is my tragedy. So how do I change something if I don't know? If I don't acknowledge how problematic it is? Maybe that's the law of attraction. Maybe that's what I got to do. Maybe that's what I got to accept, to say, you know what? Honor your pain. Honor the grievances. Honor your frustrations. Honor your hurt, honor your letdown, honor your loneliness, honor all of that, and be there for yourself. Don't disassociate. Don't disassociate. Don't play it down. Don't try and spiritualize it or spiritual bypass it. Don't do that. Take full on responsibility for your very pain, for the very tragedy. And then pray and ask and say, you know what? I respect myself enough. I honor myself enough. I trust that I've done the best job that I can be. But now I'm telling you, because I'm at the end of my rope, I'm down on my knees. And from that, maybe you attract a better situation.
I can't recall a time in the whole of my life where I have felt this level of frustration and irritation. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in the pit of my stomach. I feel it everywhere. I feel like I'm almost pinned down, by concrete, and a slab of concrete that is just it can't be moved. No matter how much I try and push against it, no matter how much I try and squeeze my way out of it, it's just got me. And I'm very, very uncomfortable. And not only that, and then I'm underwater as well. So I'm at the bottom of a lake somewhere, somewhat gasping for air, while this heavy concrete lies on top of me, and I just cannot move. And that's my experience, and it just the helplessness against this monster, against this force of isolation in my life. And it's ongoing, so it's not like, maybe you're running a race and you know that you got, you're halfway, or that at some stage soon, or to a reasonable degree, that it will be over. Here there is no end. There is no end. It can be till the day I die. And that's just that. No matter what I do, this is where the helplessness comes in. That's where, like, the pushback. There can't even be a pushback, because I don't believe that what I can do, that I don't believe it's in my control and it's in my hands. I've wanted it my whole life, and I haven't come close to it. Company, somebody in my life on a daily basis. And I've had people living with me, if you want to call it that, but it wasn't company. It was better off when I was on my own, even though it is just so painful. And it's moments like this where I've just come outside. It's like 1:30 on Friday afternoon. I'm sitting in the sun, and the road behind me is pretty busy. There's a lot of cars going up. It's the hustle bustle of the city. It's Friday. People are doing their thing. And I'm just trying to appreciate how I'm feeling. And I was thinking about all advice from these gurus and Eckhart Tolles, and about emotion, or being the present, the formless witness, as Mooji would call it. These guys, about letting the emotion come and then letting the emotion go and be non-attached. And I'm trying to use the advice, and or what Eckhart says, that you don't suppress the emotion, and then you allow it to go, and then you're free. He's talking about when somebody dies. I'll maybe include that video. I'm just get a copyright. And he says, you just move on. These guys have no idea what emotion really is. They're not in touch with emotion. They're so focused on mind, that they don't appreciate emotion. They say suffering is because of the mind, which is just a fallacy. Hard to argue it, because it's hard to prove these things. But with my own direct experience, I can tell you now that emotion is so much more than mind. It's so much more. And whether it's the mind, the thought that creates the emotion, or the emotion that creates the mind, I think it's both. I think the one affects the other. The chicken affects the egg affects the chicken. It's both. There's a relationship between the two. So these guys are completely and utterly out of touch with emotion, the emotional experience. That's why I feel that if I had to approach any of them, and I was having the kind of moment that I'm having now, they would tell me to try and be the formless witness and God consciousness, and that I'm connected with all. And these are just ideas. That's not something that I can actually feel right now, because the emotion that I'm feeling right now is an intense irritation and frustration. The only thing that can take this frustration away is the company of another that's I'm connected to, or drugs, or if I sleep, or alcohol. But that's it. If I was into porn or something like that, then perhaps it would be. But otherwise, nothing's going to take this away. It's just going to continue. And again, the frustration in my life is that I supposedly have somebody in my life. I have two people in my life. Again, I feel so stupid that I can't talk about my life, because in case other people may hear it, and I can't be, sort of express my life. But I should be a part of a family of 3, let's just put it that way. And yet I'm not, because of BPD, borderline personality disorder. because this person has a fear of abandonment and a fear of vulnerability. And so my whole world lies within this little person, this little woman who's emotional, who's dysregulated, she's impulsive, she's confrontational, she's moody. This is what I am subjected to. And yes, I have tried to meet other people, I've tried to do other things, and every single door has remained closed. That's why I'm saying I am trapped under this concrete, this slab of concrete, underwater, in an indifferent world. I'm saying, indifferent. The fishes are swimming past me and they're looking and they couldn't care. The sun is shining and doing its thing and it couldn't care. The reeds are busy swaying and whatever it is, it couldn't care. It's indifferent. It's indifferent. When you get buried in the ground, the stars are indifferent, as Yeats would say. It's indifferent to your even existence is indifferent. It doesn't make a difference. Thanks for playing. You'll be forgotten about. When I was at a cemetery the other day, a few months ago, and I noticed that for some reason they put these sort of gates around the like fences around the tombstone, and I couldn't quite understand why. You're talking about tombstones from the 1940s and the 50s, and the metal was breaking and it was rusted and there was a tree half growing through it or a bush or something like that. And I was trying to understand, what was the idea? In enough time, that's going to make no difference. It's, in the moment of burial, that the significance of that person is there, and it's meaningful, 100%, of course. But then you put these guys. I didn't quite understand. I don't understand. Again, like when we have these sort of colosseums or these buildings for people for their burial place. Wasn't it like these Egyptian pharaohs and whatever it is that they wanted to build the pyramids so they could be buried underneath it or something, or like half of their army had to kill themselves when he died so they could all be buried together. It's indifferent. And then you bring in the question of like a divine God and divine being, and you ask yourself, but under these set of circumstances, how does one justify it? How does one appreciate? How does not one want to go to war? How does one not become embittered, become so angry, become so irritated to an indifferent God? And that's the mystery, and I don't see people talking about that really, because we're so busy trying to buy the lie that we are happy, and also for myself that life has meaning. And I know it does have meaning, but when you're in a moment like this that I'm in right now, and the level of frustration that I'm at, and feeling my hands are so tied, and feeling the walls closing in more and more in on me, I can tell you, it's not fun. It makes me embittered, it makes me angry, it wears away at my spirit and my soul. Because again, there's just so much that you can take. And then you feel like, okay, if you are a good person, or you're doing God's work, or you are in service and you're doing the work on yourself, then your situation will better itself. That the concrete will shift a little bit, the concrete slab on you will shift a little bit, and you'll be able to sort of squeeze out. But that's not the case. It just gets heavier and heavier. The concrete just grows, the concrete slab just grows in size. So what do you do with it? You just have to sit with it. We are susceptible to losing our loved ones, them getting sick and dying. We are no wonder we are so afraid and embittered of life, for the real existence, to really be conscious, The consciousness is this beautiful, immense, like, it's enlightenment. It's just so spacious. It's just so beautiful. It's not. Nothing is without its tragedy that is so beautiful.
So I needed to move where I was. I had to do something. But like I was saying, nothing that has beauty doesn't have with it tragedy. There's just no ways that something that is beautiful, doesn't come with a tragedy. Somebody who could lose their virginity, maybe it's a bad example, but okay, that is a bad example. I can explain it, but I'm not going to. But with everything, there is the up and the down. So this idea of bliss consciousness and God consciousness and enlightenment and all these things and awareness and whatever it is, all this expansiveness, there's an undercurrent to it. There's an underside to it, which we are not prepared for this world. We are not prepared for the challenge of this world. We are ill prepared. We don't know how to handle life. And again, these people that are preaching these gospels of law of attraction and all this mind and all of this stuff are doing such a disservice and so much damage, and they're being so irresponsible, and they are parading around as the light, but really they are just the dark. I don't care what you say. I don't care. That's my experience, and that's what I stand by. So the thing is that in these overwhelming moments, it's neck and neck. That's the thing, is that again, when we are pushed to our limits is really when we have nothing almost to lose. You know what I mean? It's like the gloves are off in any which way, and I'm saying spiritually. You really get down in the gutter, you really get down in the thick of it, in the reeds, really in the mud, in the compost, in the manure. You really get down and your face is shoved in it, and it's just piled and piled and piled on top of you. And in those moments, there's no, just be the conscious, observer or the formless witness or all of those things, and then just return to your spaciousness. This is life. This is your burning hand, as he says in Fight Club. This is your wound. This is your pain. And this pain is what's actually the most it can be. It's the potential to be the most transformational aspect and transcendental aspect of our lives. But you know what? People won't say that. It's not popular. People don't want to hear that. It doesn't sell well. It doesn't sell well. But that's what it's about. And you know what? You have to walk your own path, and I got to walk my own path. I'm saying in the sense that I got to go through these experiences and meet the challenge and meet the overwhelming emotion, and meet the reality of things. My pain, my agony, my sorrow, my grief, my frustrations. I got to meet it, and only am I within that moment. Just like you will only go into death by yourself, and just like me, and in that moment of the lowest of the low, and you know what, it can happen at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Just can be can just be a build-up of things, or it can be something or other. It can be just that kind of slap in the face, or the irony of life, that does it. It could be even what you're feeling right now. You feel so frustrated, and you can't. Like sometimes I think of throwing my phone or throwing my vape out of frustration, but that's not going to help. Because what's that going to do? Okay, so I'll have a bit of a relief of breaking my vape or whatever it is, and then what am I going to vape? Then I'm going to need a vape and I can't vape, or I need to use my phone and I can't use my phone, but I'm, because I just threw it and I got a brief satisfaction or release of letting my frustration out. But that frustration doesn't go anywhere. You sit with it. You sit with the agonizing, and it continues and it continues and it continues. And it brings me to a moment as such, like I'm talking about now. And this is where it's at. It's not in a state of meditation, in blissfulness or something like that. This is where it's at. This is where you meet your maker, in a sense. What I'm saying is that the gloves are off. It's like, why am I being subjected to this? Some people, I bet life's a movie, and it's a drama and it's a story and it's the artist telling the story and it's an empty canvas and it's just a story, and I've said it myself and it's true. But when you're in the story itself, you have to acknowledge and appreciate and respect the experience for what it is and what you are going through. The loss of a loved one, the loss of a child, the loss of something or other, the great loss, the grief loss, the loss of your own rights, the loss of your own connection to yourself, those are real things. That's not a movie. You want to be the formless witness? You want to just sit and maybe you're going to law of attraction your ass and manifest yourself and your lover to return from the dead, or something or other, your best friend, their illness. Yes, you pray, but that doesn't so you do the best that you can, but there's no guarantees. You know what's guaranteed? That one day you will die. One day you will die to an indifferent world. You will, your body, everything that you try and sustain every single day in a way, all the maintenance that comes with the body, and the mind as well, whatever it is, and it's just going to be eaten by worms. You see, take the prettiest of girls, take just the most beautiful woman, and she will be eaten by worms, maggots. That's it.
So this recording is in 3 parts. Unfortunately, I'm just recording on the spur of the moment, and then there's also other things going on that I'm needing to attend to, interruptions of sorts and whatever it might be. And so this is I did the earlier 2 recordings in the middle of the day, and now it's evening time, and I just kind of maybe want to summarize and end off, if you will. Yeah, my struggle in what I'm talking about is feeling the experience that the universe is indifferent to your suffering, to my suffering. That's what it feels like. And what I'm saying is that I think that there's something that's transformational there. I think there's a deep realization. There's something there. It's not in the moments of enlightenment. It's not in the moments of joy and bliss that we, it's not, and keeping a very positive high vibration and radiating, the light and of the love and those kind of things. I don't think that really helps. It's transformational. I think it's the issue that we have with our very existence, the issue with the unfairness of it, what feels like unfair, the struggle, the absolute struggle, that we face daily and regularly, that again is in our faces, is the insult to our very existence, of where, well, I'm talking about for myself in a sense, and I can only speak for myself, and I need to, and why am I speaking for myself? Again, this is kind of hard to capture, but in the sense that my life is a tragedy. Can I really get to that level of bravery? And I talk about in this video that I'm about to upload, not now, I did it a few weeks ago, I'm uploading it this evening, I think,
where I speak about having the kahunas and the balls to talk about really what you truly feel and see, what's really going on. Like seeing people for their woundedness, for being toxic, for being narcissistic, for being selfish, for being unconscious, for seeing life that is very, again, indifferent. I'm tired and I'm not going to get to the thread of this, but I really wanted to finish this off because it's on the same day. But to really say, you know what, we live in a prison planet, and we remove from nature, we remove from one another. Also we remove from source. We're working with a character, with a personality. We're working with trauma. We're working with wounds. We're working with an inner critic. We're working with an ego. There is so much self-suppression in our own lives and self-sabotage going on, and self-doubt and self-ridicule all the time. We are in a constant war within ourselves, and then the outside world is also just the same. The outside world is not pro your individuality. That's what my experience is. The people that in my life, I feel that they don't really suffice. They do enough of a job, I suppose, but the main player in particular, that the only option that I have just doesn't suffice. It's just not enough. Again, it's having to really, really scrape the bottom of the barrel and really just get breadcrumbs, and it's just and work with what you've been given. It's almost like, I don't know, you got to find something to undo the screws, but you don't have a screwdriver, so you got to try and find pieces of sticks and something and join it together, and you don't even have a knife to unscrew. You just don't have the right utensils, and you just feel that your hands are tied. I mean, when you're looking for a screwdriver or a certain size of screwdriver and you can't find it, or it's too big or too small for what you're trying to do, and you just get so frustrated. It's like, well, what can I do? Maybe you try with a knife and it doesn't work either. So for myself, really to appreciate that my resources in my life of support and love and affection and company and intimacy is not there. It's not there. And what I do get is not enough. I don't really get anything at all, but yet I'm having to exist as if and work on if it's my last and only hope. I'm saying invested in one individual, in one person that has turned my life upside down. That has really, I mean, when you go through so much with somebody, so much disappointment, so much heartache, so much letdown, just so much frustration, and yet you're still having to, they're the only person really in your life. Do you know what I mean? I know I'm jumping around in this conversation because it is all a mess, but you really, and that's what I'm having to do with. Like when I went to the country and it all failed, and then I moved to a small town of Vicksburg. It was terrible what I had to deal with, and the people that I came across, and my friend Tabo and Sibusiso at the time, and the people that I've had to make do in my life with. Really, it's been an astonishing tragedy, and I'm willing to call it for that's what it is. And again, it's what I'm saying is that what I have to go through on a daily basis, and what I've been going through for the last 3.5 years, what I have been going through has been without mercy, as my friend Ricky was doing, recording to me. Said it has been without mercy. My life, in certain ways, yes, I'm very blessed. I appreciate it. I'm very, very blessed. I mean, again, financially, I'm fine. I live in a very big house, but I live on my own. This person in my life, she stays in my townhouse in my name, and yet she hasn't been comfortable for 2 years for me to put a step inside there. For 2 years. Imagine being with somebody who keeps you at an arm's length, right? Because they have such a fear of abandonment, and they have such a fear of, me finding out who she really is, in a sense, and that one day I'll just abandon her. Imagine trying to build something in a relationship with somebody because that's all you have, and yet the closer you try and get, the further they move away. And that's your only option. That's my only option, marooned on this island. That's my only option. It really is, because there's no other doors that have opened for me. There is no other thing that's realistic for me. I can't travel the world. It's just not within me. I get overwhelmed just going to the shopping mall. I get overwhelmed catching a flight to Johannesburg, which is only an hour away. I can't deal with bureaucracy. I can't deal with passports and visas and all of that stuff. I just can't. I don't even know where I would go. And I don't even feel the calling for that. I don't feel the calling for that. I just don't. And where would I go? I don't know. I just don't know. And so I feel that I'm at the end of my rope, and I do. It's terrifying. I'm always hoping for this lady to come around, but it's not going to happen because it's my only hope. So can you imagine that? Imagine like pinning your hopes, like you've been in prison, like wrongfully accused for, let's say, like Andy Dufresne for like 30 years, and you're like hoping that on the good, and it's for life. For life you've been sentenced to life. And your only option is this, the warden, and you've been playing nice for so long to try and get in their good books and to try and, for them to try and get you like a prison pardon or something like that, or to make a plan, and they just can't do it. They just won't do it. Just for the fun of it, or just because they're bored. I mean, just because they're not interested, or just because they get nothing from it. And just the level of sort of selfishness, and how you're having to play every day with that warden and be so polite and do the shine the warden's shoes and do all the errands for the warden, and then the warden just one day feels in a mood and puts you in solitary confinement for a week. And yet you can't shout at the warden. You can't say, listen, you piece of shit, and I'm really trying so hard and my life rests in your hands. And he's like, indifferent, It's like, I've been wrongfully accused, put in this prison. I didn't do the crime that I'm having to pay for the rest of my life with. It's not fair. It's not a right, And he's like, tell it to somebody who cares. So I'm saying the feeling of like an indifferent world, and just no matter how much you scream and you shout as loud as you can, and your sadness and your despair and my loneliness and all of those things, it doesn't make a difference. The situation just gets worse. It just gets worse. It compounds itself even more and more and more. Like I say, I'm supposed to be in a family, now I'm supposed to be in a family. And if I had to tell you what has gone on, especially the last week, and I don't know. It's just with nothing letting up, with it just getting worse and worse and worse. And when you're tired, you're very, very tired, and things are, you're more sensitive. It's more heavy, and it's more heavy, and it's more heavy, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And to an indifferent warden. The warden. I mean, in this case, this woman with BPD, borderline personality disorder, and again having to just put up with mood swings, put up with pettiness, and I love her, and there's a connection there, but she's so riddled with complex trauma and shame that she doesn't want to really take it on and look at it. She doesn't really want to. She's not comfortable around me. She's not comfortable to really be open and vulnerable with me. She refuses to. She's barely able to hug me. I'm barely able to put my arms around her. She's uncomfortable. She squirms. She's been sexually abused. She's been abused badly. And not only that, but her previous boyfriend, I don't know if you call him my boy, and then I'm her boyfriend, but she was physically, emotionally, mentally abused on every single aspect, and yet she bent over backwards for this guy. She dedicated her whole existence to this guy. And he was cheating on her, and it was horrible, the things that he made her do. It was horrible, the things that he made her do, how he exploited her. And the more that he exploited her, the more she tried to feel that, oh, she can change him and commit to his life and try and make him happy and try and please him. This woman, she comes to my house and sees the dishes are dirty, like a little bit. She won't even do the dishes. She won't help around the house at all. I'm just such a nice guy, and I've taken care of her and her children and you know, another person, you know, that I'm involved with as well, and yet, and I get what from it? I'm such a humiliated situation. It's so humiliating. It's so despairing. And again, you know, then the idea, well, the universe is the way that it needs to be. And that's like a sucker punch, you know, that's like really a sucker punch. It's like an insult to injury, and I'm exhausted. You can hear it in my voice. I'm truly and utterly exhausted. And you know what, again, like when you're running a race, you just have no idea when it's going to end. You don't even know if it's going to end. And it's just going to continue indifferent to where you are holding, you know. So what I'm saying is that I'm willing to honor and embrace what I'm feeling and what I'm going through, and it is darn awful pain. It's just painful. It's just miserable. Do I want to repeat this life? No frickin' ways. Just no ways. Yeah, maybe I'm getting the highest soul tokens I could possibly imagine, but I don't want to be in this again. I don't want to put myself through this again. I just don't want to. It's just too unpleasant. I just want to. What does it have to do in order for me to not come back here? What does it involve for me to know what I need to, you know, just do a good enough job, and that I've made the most of it, and I got the soul tokens, and I put it in the past, and I just can't wait in my life for most of my life just to fade into existence. And you know what, I can say, well, give myself a round of applause. Aaron, you did a great job. You did the best that you can. You really went through hell and everything else, you know, but you held the faith and you pulled through. You didn't commit suicide. You didn't turn to drug addiction. You didn't turn to every kind of addiction. You didn't become embittered. You didn't hurt anybody. You know, you kept your cool. You kept your calm, you know, and you carried on. And you did the work that you needed to do, and that's it. But if I had to summarize my life, it's a tragedy. And it continues to be. And I know that it can get so much worse. I know it can get so much worse. And it could. And it may very well be. Because that's the thing, is that just because you think it's gotten as bad as it has, just you wait. And that's the life that I've been living with this woman and her drama and all the chaos that comes with it and everything else. And please, I don't want any of you talking, you know, sitting, trying to go and comment. I mean, not that most of you have made it this far, and telling me how to live my life and what I must do. And, oh, well, you know, you're just codependent and all that shit because you're not in my shoes. You're not in my shoes. You don't know what it's, you don't know the intricacies. You don't know the ins and the outs. You don't really know, and you're looking from an outside perspective. And if you can't put yourself in my shoes, then you might have some ideas of, you know, well, this is what I would do, and can't you see that? No, all I just want you to do is listen, and maybe it keeps you company, maybe it assists you in your own, you know, tragic existence, the parts of your life that are tragic. But that's it, you know, maybe your life isn't tragic, mine is a tragedy. You know, that's just what it's about, and I don't like it, and I wish it wasn't. And if I didn't wish it, imagine I just embraced the fact that it was a tragedy, and oh, I loved it. Oh, this is the best life I've had, and I mean, yeah, sure, and I've learned so much, and definitely I have grown so much, and I've evolved so much, and it's been a great opportunity. Yes, I agree. But do you think I want it to continue this way? No. I don't. Why? Because I love myself and I respect myself, and I'm saying it's darn outright tragic, and it's enough. And how's it going to change if I'm not willing to ask for that change, to realize, you know, that's what I'm saying. Some people in their lives are in tragic situations and you know, very unhealthy, toxic situations, but they won't admit that they're in the situation, and therefore how are they going to change it? How do you get better? If someone's like an alcoholic and they're denying the fact that they're an alcoholic and it's killing them, and they don't accept that they're an alcoholic, then how are they going to get better? So how's my situation? How am I actually also being there for myself? If I'm saying, no, Aaron, certain times I can, certain times I'm alright, certain times I'm at peace, certain times I'm okay. And saying, you know what, it's fine, I've got the, but it's not, it doesn't last long. I just go back to my cold, hot, isolated day to day, day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out, all the time, not being able to meet, and I just go back to that, like I am now, and this is my reality, this is my burning flesh. No, this is my wound, this is my existence, this is my tragedy. So how do I change something if I don't know, if I don't acknowledge how problematic it is? Maybe that's the law of attraction. Maybe that's what I got to do. Maybe that's what I got to accept, to say, you know what, honor your pain, honor the grievances, honor your frustrations, honor your hurt, honor your letdown, honor your loneliness, honor all of that, and be there for yourself. Don't disassociate. Don't disassociate. Don't play it down. Don't try and spiritualize it or spiritual bypass it. Don't do that. Take full on responsibility for your very pain, for the very tragedy. And then pray and ask and say, you know what? I respect myself enough. I honor myself enough. I trust that I've done the best job that I can be. But now I'm telling you, because I'm at the end of my rope, I'm down on my knees. And from that, maybe you attract a better situation. Although I'm so cynical that I don't actually believe in one. I don't even know how it will play out. Although it could play out, I could meet somebody tomorrow. Somebody from South Africa who lives in Durban, it's possible, could have come across my channel a few days ago and messages me and says, hey, listen, dude, would you like to go for a walk on the beach? And I'd be like, oh, wow. And it could change my life. One person could change my life radically. But you know what? I'm cynical about it. I'm very, very cynical. I do feel sometimes that, it's just been too harsh. It's just been too unfair. It's just been too relentless. It's just hasn't been, it's been merciless. Is it merciless or mercilessness? I don't know. It has been, and it continues to be. And I just feel that I become embittered. There were three things that happened. I was really yesterday. Oh man, it is relevant. I still don't know if I'm going to upload this, but I reckon I will. It's been such a mess of a talk, but who cares? What am I going for? For perfection here? What am I going, like, come on. This is me sharing myself, unscripted, unedited, unfiltered. This is me, And the thing is that if I listen to this in 4 or 5 days time or a week's time, and I just felt so raw, I'd be like, Aaron, no one wants to hear that. I'm going to have a critic, the critic about myself. I'm going to doubt myself. Be like, just leave this one out. You've had a change of heart. You more just spoke just to, just for expressing sake, but it's not suitable for YouTube. It's not suitable. What are people going to think? Or they're not interested. Or, again, that's self-critic. And then I'm going to conflict and turn against myself. If I say, listen, I'm uploading this video by hook or by crook, like I'm doing it. I'm absolutely doing it. I'm just winging it. Because this is what it's like. This is how messy the whole experience, is. This is what it's like. Who gives a shit if you speak too long? Because I think to myself, I've made this in 3 parts, 10 minutes each. This is 21 minutes, going to be 40 minutes. Who's got 40 minutes? And I start thinking about it, and I'm tired of those thoughts. I'm tired of having to think about how I'm coming across. I'm tired of feeling inadequate. I'm tired of potential people not understanding me and then maybe judging me or something like that. I'm tired of it. I don't want to be in that prison anymore that I put myself in. I just want to go with my gut, go with my feeling, go with my rawness, you know, and do what I need to do. So I'll just tell you quickly, yesterday also was not a good day. I woke up in the morning, it's not good mornings for me. Mornings are not good, the afternoons are not good, evenings are a little bit better. But generally my whole day, to a certain degree, and everything that I've been dealing with this week in particular, starting from last week Saturday, which was the most awful news that I received, which wasn't true, that anybody wants to hear in their life. It's like the last thing that you want to hear. You want to be told something or other. It F's with your mind like you have no concept whatsoever. And I know I can't even get into it, and it's too heavy to get into it. It's too heavy. I mean, but one day I need to actually tell you, the listeners and those that have made it this far, exactly what's going on, and you'll be like, geez, Aaron, I had no idea. I could have never ever assumed that was really going on in your life, and that you were dealing with it all on your own. I could never imagine that. I just couldn't. My heart breaks for you. And just to think that any human being has to go through so much of what you've gone through, and you're such a good guy, or I like listening to you, you just don't deserve it, my man. You just don't deserve it. It'll make you question. I feel, if I have to tell you what I've been through, it'll make you question whether, the universe is actually how it's supposed to be. You will have moments of that. I'm telling you now, if I have to tell you what's just happened with me the last week, and again, it can be worse, and it can still get worse. The week, it can bleed into the next week, and the week after that, and the week after that. There's no guarantee that it's going to let up. There's no guarantee that it's going to change. There's no guarantee, and that's why I'm like, gee whiz, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next punch? What's the next thing? And again, you might say, well, no one died. People weren't diagnosed with an illness in your life or yourself. You weren't, terrible things. But that doesn't mean that just because those extreme things don't happen, that other things are not just as extreme. And then when they happen one after the other, after the other, after the other. So what I'm saying is that yesterday was garbage day, and I was taking out my garbage. Now, to tell you a bit more of the story, I had a gardener who worked for me. His name was Sipho. And I really took such good care of him, and he completely took advantage of me, a proper parasite, just to really and he took complete advantage of my kind nature. And he was a pathetic gardener, and he came every Tuesday, and he made my life Tuesday for me miserable. And knowing that he was coming, and whatever it is, in South Africa, you can't just let somebody go and say, look, you're fired, because they know the ins of your outs of the property. They know everything. They could easily go and tell some people, listen, dude, and that'll be an inside job. The next thing, your house gets broken into. It's very, very tricky in South Africa. It's very tricky who you allow into your house, because that's how these things happen, inside jobs. Whether it's the domestic worker, it's the gardener, painter that came, who worked on the house for a while, whatever it is, an electrician. You don't know. They go out and they give the information, and then next thing, bing, bada, boom, that's the situation. And so I had to let this guy off easily, and I made some excuses, whatever it is. And he used to come knock on the door, weeks afterwards, and I paid him so much money. I paid him for a full month when I let him go, and I gave him a lot of things. Anyways, it was just such a frustrating. The less people I have in my life, the better off I am. Honestly, the less people that I'm involved with, and it's a shocker, it's a disgrace, it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Anyway, I know this is a long story. And he would phone me, and I'd block the number, then he'd phone me from other numbers, and then I'd answer. He goes, hey boss, it's Sipho here. And I'm like, oh, to hell with you. I said to you, just leave me alone. Just, I don't know. And then he would come to the door, and he would ring and he would stand outside the bell and hello, 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 every few days, and I'll just ignore him, and he'd stand there for 10, 15 minutes. I just wanted to go up and say, leave me the hell alone. I mean, I should have just done that. Anyway, so I haven't bumped into him for a long time, and yesterday I'm taking out the garbage, and I take out the garbage and I remember, oh wait a minute, I got like a whole bunch of pears and apples that I can also take because the monkeys are around. I'm not feeding them directly, but they go through the trash anyways. Anyway, so I go get the apples and the pears, and as I'm coming out, you know, if I didn't go get the apples and the pears, I would have dropped my garbage on the floor, and then outside the house, and then I would have come back in and I wouldn't have seen this guy. He could have come to the gate, he could have called, and I just would have ignored him. But this way I went back especially just to get the apples and the pears, and I was walking across the street and I see this guy pushing his bike up the road, and he sees me, and I'm like, and I was just having such a shitty morning. Same thing today, I was having a very shitty afternoon, like really bad. There was another guy, also a beggar, before. He once came here, and I don't know, and I gave him some stuff, and then like a week later he was back again. Hey, you gave me nice shoes or whatever. I said, dude, you can't come back here like a week later. I said, I'm giving this to you. I said, you know, we're not supposed to support the people, because when they come, the beggars, and they come knock on the door and you support them, and they call more of their friends, and then also then they find out about the properties and they break in. You can't have an open heart here. You can't. You run the absolute risk of it. Absolute risk. So I said to him, dude, this is the last time, and I gave him a couple of bucks and like another pair of, you know, safety boots and shoes, and I gave him some ganja, and I said to him, please do not come back here. He says, boss, I promise you, if you help me out, I'm not going to come back. A week later, in my situation, when I was so annoyed, the guy rocks up at the gate. I just shouted at him. It's like, just, you know, I said, go away, you know, just whatever. No respect, I don't care. As soon as you open your heart, as soon as you show that you're a nice person, yeah, I know that they're desperate, but they have no boundaries. People have zero boundaries. They're only caring about themselves. He doesn't even wait like 2 weeks before he comes back. He comes back the next week with a smile on his face, just like Seppo, smile on the face, waiting for that handout, waiting for your empathy, you know, waiting. And it was such a bad time. Then this again, tonight as well, I was in the kitchen, I was just getting some really like further on frustrating news about it, the same situation, just so much frustration. And the cat comes in crying and crying and crying. And she's wanting attention, and now I'm just so annoyed by what I'm you know, on the cell phone, and what I'm dealing with this woman in my life, and more problems and more problems and more problems. And the cat comes in and is crying and crying and crying, and I just shouted at her, like, stop it. And then she still goes, rah, 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 rah. So talk about the timing, talk about the insult to injury. When these things happen, when things are really bad, like you are just at the end of your rope, and something else has to at that time come in and be like, boom, and push you. I remember the one time, now that I'm talking about it, oh, this is just spot on. This is exactly it. Oh man, when I was staying in Hazelwood, I was staying in this 1-bedroom apartment, and this was when I was going through my transitioning, when I was an alcoholic. This is, you know, also very, very low. Very low. But my life has been filled with these kind of moments now that I think about it. At the end, at the very, very bottom, you know, it just gets worse. So I was in the apartment, and my mother, she was friendly with the landlord, and she just said to the landlord said, yeah, look, I need Aaron out of the place, but I got to give him a month's notice. My mother said, don't worry, I'll talk to him, he'll be out at the end of the week. And my mother and I weren't on good terms, and I wasn't holding in a good place. I wasn't holding in a good place at all. And she just gave notice. She said, no, it's my son, I'll tell him, he'll be out in a week, he'll make a plan. My mother was so selfish back then. She was so narcissistic back then. It was so horrible, and I didn't have anybody in my life, and I was at such a low point. Now I got to be out within a week because my mother, said that. And I was shouting at my mother. I said, how can you be so selfish? You don't even know what I'm going through. I don't even have money, you know. I'm so depressed. I can't even, I'm an alcohol. I'm trying to get over booze. My life is an absolute wreck. I'm miserable. I'm trapped. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. And you just don't care. You only, this selfishness with people. And I'm shouting at her. I'm like, whatever it is. And then I walk out the bedroom, and there in front of, by my not by my front door, but by my like patio door, because I was on the first floor, was Sean Cannon. The guy who lives upstairs from me, like a friend of mine from high school who's somewhere, whatever, but he's the biggest player. He's just was listening to the conversation. He's just smiling at me. And I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like, I just felt so vulnerable, so exposed. And here's this guy almost like relishing, like, oh, yeah, Aaron is so upset and something's going on in his personal, and he's just that kind of character. That's Sean Cannon. just that type of character. And he was like listening, like almost with a glee on his face. When he saw me, he was like, oh, you got me. And I was like, dude, I'm at the lowest of my low. And Sean Cannon, I literally just dropped to my knees and I'm like, what next? What else? What else? And again, I refuse to be, it sounds like I'm victimized, but I'm not saying that I'm helpless. I do feel helpless. I do feel like, again, helpless and hopeless, and it's all, because again, when I've spoken about, for some of you who know, when I went to the Zen Den, at the lowest of my low, when I went places and I went to people and everything else, the lowest of my low that I went to, and at the same time, I just don't want this lady to see me. At the same time, I just hit more of a rock bottom, I mean, there was something further. It was just something else. So that's what I'm saying, is that really we are absolutely pushed to the degree where we I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say. I don't know. We have these moments that are so low, and it continues, and it's so much that it's very, very hard to justify. It's very, very hard to bring meaning to it. You just really feel trapped in it. You really feel sort of, what would you say? Like just consumed by it. You just feel, sorry, I was going to do this. I'm just frustrated talking about this stuff. Next thing I don't leave my keys outside. But that's it. When you reach the end of your rope, and it's just like you become, because you don't feel that things let up. But I mean, I was blessed today with safety boots. I got these safety boots. I'm going to get more money for it, and it's great. There are certain things, that work out well. I didn't think I was going to get a lot of safety boots, and I did get them. There's going to be more cash as well, which is great. It's very nice because financially things have been very stressful. So there are certain things that work out. There is, but in regards to people in my life and quality and connectedness with people and support and love, and I do get it. I do get it from some of you that I talk to. I do get it, and I've given more space and being more open to it because dealing with people, I've become so cynical. And I don't trust people, because most people don't deserve to be trusted. Most people don't deserve to be trusted. And again, most people, for myself, I find I'm the one who's got to hold them together, like Robert, the last guy who moved in with me, and Lom as well. It's just, I can't. Where are the functioning people? Where are the healthy people? Where is somebody that like in my life, I'm saying directly in my life, there's zero. It's crazy. Even right now, it's Friday night. And I'm on my own. I spent 3 hours with this, and that's it today. And it was maybe 2 hours or no hours yesterday, and that's it, on my own. And I go to sleep on my own, and I wake up on my own. And that's that. Day after day after day after day. And I spent, like I say, 95% on my own. It's going to be my birthday on Monday. I'll probably be on my own. On my birthday. And you might say, gee whiz, Yeah. Even though I have this lady, but then she tells me that she's, the timing again, this is what she was telling me. I said, look, it's my birthday. She hasn't slept over in about 4 or 5 months. I don't know how long. She doesn't want to get too intimate. She doesn't want to get close together. So that's what I have to put up with. It's like, I don't care, even if we don't talk. Just if you're in the room and, or something, it's just somebody else in the house. I'm just tired of eating alone. I'm tired of cooking alone. Tired of doing everything on my own. This woman has let me down like nobody else has ever in my life let me down. She is the absolute queen of it. She is the absolute cherry on the top. And she's also the straw on the camel's back. That's what she is. And all my hopes and everything is pinned on this woman. And maybe I can mention it for those that have got this far, because I doubt anybody who will come across my channel will listen to this, this far. They'll be like, oh yeah, this is interesting, but I can't, I don't have the time to listen to what Erin's going on about or whatever it is that I have a child with this woman. I have a child with her. That's the thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful, healthy young boy who's 19 months old. But yet I only met him when he was 7 months old. I've never kissed him, really kissed him good. I've never bathed him. She comes over every second day, sometimes 2 days in a row, whatever it is, for 3 hours, and that's it. I've never seen where he sleeps. I'm not really a part of his life. I'm not really a part of his life. And then it's crazy what happened. It's crazy. What I've been going through. It's crazy. And then it's my birthday, so for myself, and we have a child together, but I don't really get to see him. I don't get to see her. I don't get to spend time with other people. I see him, and also I can't pick him up on my own. I'm not allowed to pick him up on my own and go to the beach or go to the promenade or something like that. I can't do that because his mother doesn't trust me, or she just feels like she's unsafe and she's going to worry about him. It's also, she has to have control. In every single angle, she has to have control. She has to have control. If I ask her to come over, she won't. But she's got to do it on her own terms. I can have no needs. I can have no expectations on her. I can have no requirements on her whatsoever. She can't handle it. I just feel the stress. Because also, then it's like she's giving in to me. And if she gives in to me, then she feels like she's being disempowered. And she feels she's disempowered, and she feels vulnerable. Then she gets stressed. Read about borderline. Watch one of the latest Sam Vaknin, SAMVAKNIN, Vaknin. Watch his video on borderline personality disorder. It's only 10 minutes long. And see what I'm dealing with. See what I'm dealing with. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in this woman's life. I don't know where I would go, whatever I'll do, but I wouldn't be in this woman's life. But she gives me nothing really but sorrow. Nothing but drama. And barely any love whatsoever. And that's that. So again, it's my birthday. Oh, so she was telling me in the kitchen, she's been doing this sort of this beauty course or something like that, microneedling, whatever it is, and they gave her a free course, and it's on Monday. So she has to be there at 8:30, and she finishes at 4:00 in the afternoon. I didn't want to do this course. This course cost a fortune. She borrowed money from people that she shouldn't have borrowed because she's impulsive, and if she gets an idea, she has to do it. She has costed me more money. You have no clue. And on every single level there is a challenge. On every single level. And she falls into deep depression and deep anxiety. And I'm just completely and utterly pushed away. And again, I rely on her for intimacies, physical intimacy, which she's barely ever in the mood for. When I met her, that was her thing. She was, very, very much into it. She really liked intimacy. She really, performed and everything. It was fantastic for her. She's almost a bit addicted to it. But after a couple of months, it became like a drain for her. It became a priority. She lost all of her thing, and then I feel like I'm begging her. And also, I don't pleasure myself. I haven't done that in about 15 years or however long. I don't know, maybe 10 years. So what am I forced to now? Now I'm forced to go for sensual massages. That's what I was doing in my previous relationship. Because what else am I what else am I met with? Can go weeks without it. Weeks. And then when we are supposed to make a plan and I ask you to come over, whatever it is, and again, it's not real intimacy, it's just she helps me out, if you know what I mean. She just helps me out. Barely gets involved and helps me out, and I'll take that because I got nothing else. Barely helps me out, if you know what I mean. Doesn't really participate, isn't really involved, can't be intimate. And I'm sorry to say, if it is with her, if she is involved, it happens for her, it's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and it's done. And then for me, it's like, very, very, very highly self-involved. Very highly self-involved. And so for myself, okay, so let's say it's been weeks and I'm climbing the walls now. I'm really I'm so hectic, I'm losing my mind. I don't watch pornography or anything. I'm losing my mind. And then she'll get the babysitter to come for 2 hours. let's say on Monday morning. So like the whole weekend, let's say Friday is going to come on. So I know the whole weekend, Monday morning, it's on my mind. Comes Friday morning and the babysitter decides not to rock up. Oh, well, maybe on Thursday or Friday. I'm like, just, forget about it. Those kind of things. Or she decides that she's doing a fast. She's like a Christian and, no, I'm doing a fast. I can't do those things. She doesn't even tell me she's doing the fast. I'll be like, well, how long are you fasting for? She said, no, 2 weeks. And I'm like, couldn't you have helped me out before you started fasting? And she's also got 2 teenager children herself, 2 of her own, 2 older teenagers, and her son's got special needs. I haven't seen them in 2 years. She's got a daughter who's 17. Very, very problematic people. Very, very problematic. Very problematic. And I've been taking care of all of them for the last 3.5 years. Every single financial aspect, from every single financial aspect, and what I've had to put up with, just so I can spend some time with this woman, just so I can spend some time with my son. This is what I'm talking about. This is what's going on. And there's so much more that I haven't expressed or I haven't said. There's so much more that if you had to hear it, it would break your heart. Because let me tell you this, and my heart is broken. It really is, and I'm exhausted. I bought this big house so that we could all move in together, and it never worked out. So now, I would have never bought this house. I would have never spent all that money. It cost millions. It's my father's money. I had to twist his arm. I had to beg him, plead him, because I thought, finally I'm going to have a family. I'm going to be a part of people's lives. Which it probably wouldn't have worked out because she's also very toxic at the same time. Look, she's done a lot of growth on herself and she's better, but we're very different people at the same time. She can't share anything. So she sabotages all the time. She just sabotages all the time. Confrontational, often of the time. Moody, often of the time. So this is the cards that I have been dealt, and there's no end in sight. And there's drama with it all the time. There are things that happen. You can't believe what's gone on non-stop. Absolutely, I'm exhausted and there's no end in sight. And I haven't got any real help like here on the scene. I haven't got anybody. So what kind of life is this? This is not a tragic life. This is not an isolated, desolated life. It's not that I just haven't met anybody or haven't invested in anybody, but imagine investing 3.5 years in somebody and having nothing to get from it and having nothing to really show from it. Imagine that. That's the insult to injury. That's the problem that I'm talking about here. So imagine you have a garden that massive size garden, the size of 10 football fields, and you've been seeing to your garden and all your different veggies and planting the seeds and composting and everything else and watering every single day. Hours and hours in the scorching hot sun. Hours and hours of money that's been poured into to get the beds ready and to get the whole setup going and get the whatever it is, the watering system going and to dig the borehole and whatever, and then nothing grows. Nothing grows. Can you imagine that frustration? It's one thing if you never planted the garden in the first place, but it's another thing if you planted the garden and you got no results, you got no success. That's what I'm talking about, is the slap in the face. That's what I'm talking about, is the insult to injury. Because I've got nothing to show for myself. Nothing. But just sorrow and tragedy and loneliness. I need to stop this recording, it's too long. But so let me end off. But there you go. That's it in a nutshell. Yeah. Okay, thanks for listening.